Hi, it's James back with another top 10 list for this week. This week's top 10 list is going to be my top 10 favorite performances in comic book movies. Now, these don't necessarily need to be actual adaptations or actual characters, or let alone live action. It could be an animation that gets to me. It could be original movies that take an influence from comic books or whatever, but if it resembles a comic book in a movie, if I can call it comic book-esque, it's going to count. Let's get to the countdown and start with some honorable mentions. These are the honorable mentions. We're going to start off with some honorable mentions which didn't quite make the list, but were worthy of mention. We're going to start off with Michael Fassbender in X-Men First Class as the young Eric Lensher, who brings just enough anger and drive for vengeance to tell you where the character's going and whatnot, and he's pretty brilliant in it. Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy as Star-Lord, great smart alecky role, and literally the first scene of the movie just tells you where the movie's going to go. Nathan Fillion as the voice of Green Lantern in one of the animated features, Justice League Doom. Basically, it's a movie where Batman has a contingency plan against all the Justice League in case they all go rogue and a supervillain gets his hands on it and turns it against every member of the Justice League. Carl Urban is Dredd. That's an awesome movie. Great serious performance, and he never takes off the helmet. Going to go with a film that's not really a comic book, but it's a comic book movie. Bruce Willis as David Dunn in Unbreakable. It's probably one of the most influential movies to bring realism to a comic book movie in the past 20 years, and it's probably the benchmark to where all realistic comic book movies is. And going to go with Justin Ackles as Jason Todd / Red Hood in Batman Under the Red Hood, which is a phenomenal movie. It was kind of surprising to see how dark DC went with this and how character-driven and how well-written the characters were in this movie. I don't know how many people that watch the animated movies, but this is probably a must-have. Those are the honorable mentions, so we'll get to the countdown. Number 10. Sometimes an actor is so great at a supporting role, you can't see anybody else taking it in a future movie or a reboot or whatever. So that's the case with J.K. Simmons in the original Spider-Man. Literally, at the first sentence he speaks in Spider-Man, where he's like, "Who is Spider-Man?" And I'll tell you, you're like, "Oh my lord!" And your jaw just dropped, and you realize that is one of the most perfect castings ever in a comic book movie, even if it was just a small throwaway supporting role. But J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson is brilliant. That's why people have screamed that if they do a reboot, or that they are doing a reboot, that they have to have J.K. Simmons as Jameson in the movie, because it's just how it has to be, because you can't see anyone else taking over the role, because it's just so amazing. He gets a character, and he's brilliant at it. I mean, he just says, basically, he's trying to do an old-timey newspaper editor, but he gets who Jameson is, and you can't see anyone else taking the role. Number 9. In the first Thor, I thought Tom Hiddleston as Loki was okay. Could have used a little more work. He did what he needed to as a villain, but in Avengers he explodes. He is just a villain on such a grand level. It's just ridiculous. It's the villain you want to see fall, the villain you want to see try to make his plans happen, and anything that happens to him from the good guys is so much more satisfying, because that's what you want to see in a bad guy. Is you want to see him either succeed, or you want to see him fail spectacularly, or get outsmarted or whatever. And Loki in the Avengers is just so much more fleshed out and great. So Tom Hiddleston's Loki is number 9 for me. Number 8. In 1992, when the Batman animated series started. No one knew what to think when it was announced that Mark Hamill was going to be the voice of the Joker, and then first episode in, basically you just realized how perfect his voice was. And what's the best one he did? Well, probably the last one where he came out of retirement after saying a couple of years he wasn't going to do the Joker voice. So I'm going to give you the Killing Joke for the Mark Hamill voice. It's a very dark story. You might want to get past like the first 30 minutes before you get into it, but it's good. It's probably his best Joker rendition ever. So Mark Hamill as Joker in A Killing Joke, just off the wall and out of the park. Number 7. Sometimes it takes a movie to get into the second movie to hit your stride. Well, I enjoyed the first Spider-Man movie. I thought it was pretty good. It had a couple of minor flaws, but Tobey Maguire's performance in Spider-Man 2 is just amazing, and it's so full of the character with the more or less the adaptation of the Spider-Man No More storyline, where his villain isn't so much Dr. Octopus, but his own self-doubts, which basically put a roadblock in front of what he wants to do with his life. He doesn't know he can be Spider-Man and do all these things at the same time, and he's had to sacrifice a would-be relationship with Mary Jane because he's got the world on his shoulders as Spider-Man and trying to do all these things like go to college and pay his rent, which everybody, if you've seen my Facebook page, I love Mr. Ditkovich, and he's sort of a minor villain to Spider-Man in a way. It's like, I want the rent and all that, which I love. I love him, and basically it's the Spider-Man movie that so far is the best one, and Tobey Maguire's performance is phenomenal in it. Number 6. I thought that the first Captain America movie was absolutely brilliant. It was just a great World War II movie / propaganda movie, and did what it needed to do to set up Captain America in a Marvel universe. But Captain America and the Winter Soldier just goes even further than that to set a man from the past in modern times. And Chris Evans just nails the whole thing as of a man out of time, not only out of time, but literally taking one of the Man Without a Country storylines that happens in Captain America every now and then and just goes with it. I find those are the best Captain America stories, where even though he might be against America or whatever, he's a fugitive or a traitor or something, he's always working with the best interests of the country in mind, such as in Winter Soldier, where Shield is actually has sleeper cells of Hydra that are waking up, and Captain America is trying to do what he can to stop Hydra from taking over the world and using a new weapon to destroy threats and future threats. So, yes, this is, if it's not the best Captain Marvel movie, it's one of the best 2 Marvel movies. So, yes, gotta go with Chris Evans on this one. Number 5. Let's go back to 2004 when they announced they were going to film a new Batman movie. I was telling my friends that there's only one person in the world who could bring Batman to life and do him justice. That was Christian Bale. And I said, well, but the problem is he does too many independent films and they're not going to be able to snag him. But literally 2 days after I said it, I visited my friend. He's like, you're not going to believe who they got for Batman. And I'm like, who, Christian Bale? It's like, yes. So yes, I'm going to put Batman Begins, my favorite movie of 2005, as number 5 for great performances in a cartoon movie, because Christian Bale, sorry to you Keaton fans, sorry to you Kevin Conroy fans, but Christian Bale gets the Batman. He realizes that Bruce Wayne's a mask. And, well, a mask, but he's got to be Bruce Wayne, and he's got to be a billionaire playboy, but there's something in his eyes that you can tell every scene that, even though he's still doing the Bruce Wayne thing, but he's still, the eyes tell you he's doing the Batman thing at the same time. So, And if you've seen the Nolan trilogy, it's just amazing. I can't think of Ben Affleck is okay. He does a good Dark Knight Returns Batman, but if you want a true Batman, Dark Knight Detective, you've got to go with Christian Bale. So yes, thank you for Batman Begins, Mr. Nolan. Thank you, Mr. Bale, for taking your role. And yes, it's number 5 on my list. Number 4. I'm old enough to remember when my next choice was spending his free time waking up in strangers' beds or on the street or getting arrested for drugs. But in the past 8 years since Robert Downey Jr. took on the role of Iron Man, he's just been phenomenal, and he's basically earned the right to be king of Hollywood, as it were. I'm sorry, I don't have a real DVD cover. I basically drew my own because when I got the Blu-ray, I got it, with no case on it, so it's my own art. So, anyways, I've rarely seen anyone as perfect as Tony Stark, or as enjoyable in a role as Robert Downey Jr. is for Iron Man. Basically, I thought it would be a great idea because I saw Iron Man more for Demon in a Bottle, and I thought Robert Downey Jr. could use his experiences for that, but they don't dwell so much on that as more he is a tortured man and he's just trying to do right, which Robert Downey Jr. has been doing successfully ever since the mid-2000s and his run-ins with the law and his former drug habit, which is awesome, and he deserves everything he's getting now. He's doing great, and basically he's the Marvel, he is the star at Marvel, which is phenomenal. So yes, congratulations, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do with Spider-Man. Number 3. I've never seen theaters so filled as I have when I saw the first 2 X-Men movies. So I enjoyed the first X-Men movie, but I thought the ending was a little rushed and didn't really have a huge climax, that's what I thought. I thought the climax could have been bigger. But one of the best part of the movie was Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and I'm not a Wolverine fan. I don't really read the comics. I read it every now and then, but I don't read specific for Wolverine. But with X2, Hugh Jackman just explodes and he's another dead solid perfect. He understands Wolverine. Even if it's a PG-13 movie and violence is scaled down, they do give him moments of berserker rage and, I don't give a crap attitude, but it's just, when I watched this movie, it was just, towards the end when he has to make the decision, you really feel for it, and it just pumps your adrenaline when he does make that decision whether to choose Colonel Stryker or the X-Men to figure out what's going on, to figure out who he is. And it's just, God, I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Number 2. Number 2 goes to the greatest hero of them all, Christopher Reeve as Superman. As I know if I didn't mention it, you would all kill me. Because, well, Superman is a difficult role to task, and from what I've seen through most of the documentaries and behind the scene stories of the making of the film, it was a monumental task to even find somebody to be both Clark Kent and Superman at the same time. And if you're in my generation, you know absolutely how well that worked out, and how even though for years he wanted to get away from being known as Superman, he was Superman, but he gradually accepted it in the later years of his life and realized how much of a great steward he was at the role. So gotta go with Chris Reeve at number 2, my favorite Superman, probably your favorite Superman too, from Superman the movie. What number? What? 1.5? Are you kidding me? I do a 0.5 never in my countdown, so I realized halfway through doing this list I missed one glaring omission, and I probably shouldn't have. That'd be Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. if you watch X-Men Origins, you saw how horrible the makers of that movie treated the character and had no respect for him. But in watching the behind the scenes of this movie, you realize that it set off a fire in Ryan Reynolds, where he was so determined to get your character right down the line. He actually set up like a 4-person brain trust to come up with a story, to come up with just about a lot of things, and set this wheels in motion. And the studio was even against it. Like, no, this isn't going to work, until the fans screamed that they wanted to see what this film might look like. And the rest is history. It got released, and it's the largest grossing R-rated movie ever. And I don't like the comic book character. I don't think it works so well in that medium, but damned if I don't think that Deadpool works as a movie, and works more as a movie character than a comic book character. Sometimes it happens. And yeah, I just felt the need to throw that in there and say, I like the Deadpool movie. And the number one performance in a comic book movie of all time is? I've told people if the Joker was done the right way, like, say, done in The Killing Joke, or, say, Arkham Asylum, it would be an Oscar-worthy performance. And Heath Ledger proved that it's possible with The Dark Knight, in which he does primarily use the influence from, say, Arkham Asylum and Killing Joke more than, say, the TV series like Jack Nicholson did, or, cracking jokes, because that's not what the Joker's about. Joker is basically a person who sees life and society as the joke, but nobody gets it, and he's just trying to show how how the innards, the workings of the joke, how everything works, and how it takes one little thing to get the punchline. And it's not a punchline everybody likes, but the punchline is there. And it's really sad that he never got to see his performance. I know he acted it out and whatever, but there's something to relish it and to celebrate. And I don't know if it can ever be done again, but yeah, Heath Ledger's Joker is my favorite comic book performance of all time. It's just so much wit, so much intelligence, even just the mannerisms, just knocks it out of the park for me. So that's my top 10 comic book performances for this week. We're going to have a new list next week, and as always, thanks for watching, and we'll have some more videos in the next couple days or so. So stick around and keep watching, and I'll keep creating.